Hi, I'm Manjit Kaur Ruprai and I'm a counsellor, EMDR therapist, and I help victims in the recovery from narcissistic abuse. I realised a few years ago that I had also been a victim of abuse, so I went on my own healing journey. I had to face some dark truths, but they have helped me in understanding the complexity of narcissistic personality disorder. I also learned a lot of things about myself. I also discovered that I have a narcissistic mother, which was a painful thing to accept, and I realised I have other narcissistic family members. I've had to work hard on myself. When you have been a victim, you are always working on yourself, and the journey of growth never ends. I gain a lot of satisfaction when I see people that I have worked with grow within themselves and develop so many strengths they thought they never had. Recovery is possible, but it takes a lot of work. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what is narcissistic personality disorder. Are you being abused? This is something that comes up a lot, and people become confused with abuse and love, trauma bonding, cognitive dissonance, and applying boundaries. I hope that you find this video helpful, and if there are any questions that you have, please drop me a message. So what is narcissistic personality disorder? Narcissistic personality disorder is when an individual has an overinflated sense of their own importance. They seek attention, admiration, and lack empathy, compassion, and remorse, so they are unable to step in an individual's shoes to see how they feel. Therefore, they always have drama from the troubled relationships that they form. They're always the victim and cause chaos in every relationship. Once a victim is in the hook of a narcissist, they are brainwashed that life will be very bleak without them. The abuser wants you to become dependent on them, so they use tactics such as intimidation, physical and mental abuse, emotional, social, financial, and bullying to make you feel dependent on them. Narcissists will use tactics such as gaslighting, projection, isolation, and make you lose your mind with the constant mind games, so you never know where you stand. You find you begin to lose yourself the longer you are with them. NPD is a complex disorder, so it is important to look at what causes it. Narcissists are created with a product of environment, early childhood trauma, growing up in an abusive environment, a parent being a narcissist, neglect, or just simply being spoiled rotten or being the golden child has an impact on the child. I grew up as a scapegoat, and I still am. If there are environmental factors mentioned, there is a greater chance a narcissist is created. It starts in childhood, and the traits become stronger in adulthood. I must also point out that narcissist does not change. The only thing you can do is to recognize it and to walk away. I must also point out that not all narcissists are the same. You have the overt and the covert, the malignant, and some are highly cunning, manipulative, that you won't even realize you are being abused. A lot of people that I work with become confused and sometimes are unsure if they are being abused. So let's look at, are you being abused? I always say that abuse is abuse. Some are desperate for a narcissist label, but abuse is abuse. Most narcissists do not get diagnosed because they do not or refuse to have a psychiatric evaluation. So they very rarely get diagnosed. The ones that do get diagnosed call the psychologist or psychiatrist a liar. My advice would be to discard the label and to look at the actual abuse that you are experiencing. Not all abuse is physical. Mental abuse is just as bad, if not worse, as it is harder to spot. So if someone constantly devalues you, that is abuse, regardless if the person is a narcissist or not. The label doesn't matter. If someone makes you feel worthless, that is abuse. You should be made to feel worthy. If someone controls you, that is abuse. That includes telling you what to wear, when you can go out, where you can work, chooses your friends. That is abuse. The person should respect you and respect your freedom. If someone name calls, threatens you, puts you down, that is abuse. If someone doesn't listen to you and your needs, that is also abuse. If someone financially exploits and extorts money from you or uses money as a form of punishment, that is abuse. If someone makes you feel ugly and makes you derogatory remarks at you, that is abuse. If someone expects sex on demand without considering your needs, that is abuse. If someone accuses you of things you're not doing, and they are doing the things they are accusing you of, that is abuse. That is projection. It is abuse. The list could go on and on. My point is not to get fixated on, is she or he a narcissist? The label doesn't matter. Abuse is abuse of any form. If you tick some or all of these statements, you are likely dealing with a narcissist. Let's look at trauma bonding. If you are watching this, you will be trauma bonding. So trauma bonding occurs in very toxic relationships where the victim becomes deeply attached to the abuser. The victim finds that they are trapped in the cycle of love bombing, being devalued and discarded. Most are stuck in love bombing and devaluing and will hardly go through the discard phase. The narcissist likes to keep you dangling and will not always discard you. You might end up doing the discarding, so be prepared for the hoovering where the narc will suck you back in to only devalue you again. Trauma bonding is when you are punished and rewarded by given little doses of love. As time goes on, the trauma bond intensifies because the victim's brain becomes confused with the extreme cycles of love bombing and abuse. Trauma bonding are compared to an addiction because the abuser is so good at love bombing. You crave that hit every time. It's like a drug. Every time you get your hit, you feel so good and you want it again and again. When you try to break free from your abuser, it is like withdrawing from an addiction. You will experience extreme withdrawal symptoms. You will find that you try to break free several times until you decide that enough is enough. The victim becomes so entangled in the relationships that they believe they are unable to survive without the abuser, and their world will come crashing down. Going cold turkey and riding out the withdrawal symptoms is the only way to fully break free. Of course, if you have children, you have to co-parent. You can learn the BIF technique to co-parent. So keep the contact brief. Having an argument or getting into conflict will serve no purpose. It will keep the conflict going. The narc will not back down, so keep communication as brief as possible. Focus on the facts. Don't let your opinion, defending yourself, or your emotions get in the way of the communication. Be friendly. Treat it like a work or a business meeting where you are professional and you look after your tone and what you say. Remember, the narc wants to catch you out and have one on you. Don't give in to anything where they can wind you up. Be firm. The narc will try and make life difficult for you. Be firm but friendly. Give them 2 choices and a deadline to reply back to you. When you're in a narcissistic relationship, the victim will go into a state of cognitive dissonance. So what is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is the uneasiness a person experiences whenever they are holding 2 conflicting ideas simultaneously. For example, you're in a narcissistic relationship, but know that person is causing harm to you, but you lie to yourself about the extent of the harm. This results in cognitive dissonance. The victim ends up having an inner conflict with themselves, where they defend their abuser. They justify and rationalize the abuse and make excuses that it is okay that the abuser acted in this way because they did something to trigger it. For example, someone who is abused by a narcissistic partner hates living in their situation, but at the same time defends the abuser. They tell themselves that they only get treated badly because this is the abuser's way of expressing love. The victim convinces themselves that everything will be okay, and this inner dialogue reduces the anxiety and gives hope that they can survive. The victim ends up bonding further with their abuser and becomes trauma bonded to the point that imagining life without the abuser becomes a daily struggle. In my experience and what I have been through, those that are abused have a lack of self-love and boundaries, or are codependent like how I am. This means that they people please, are unable to say no, go along with others' wants when they don't actually want to. Your own feelings do not matter, and you spend time fixing others. You can't stand up for yourself and you suppress your emotions just to please others. Once you recognize your poor boundaries or codependency, there is a chance that you can change by applying healthy boundaries and working with a therapist to help you. Applying boundaries takes time, as this is something you are not used to, as you may not have ever had any. I have had to work hard on my own boundaries, and I still am. I'm still not perfect. It's not about being perfect, because no one is, but it is important to listen to your inner voice and learn to be able to say no. Together, combined with poor boundaries, codependency, trauma bonding and cognitive dissonance, it becomes a lethal combination and the victim gets stuck. I hope that you found this short video helpful. If you would like more information or would like to have any therapy, get in contact with me via my website www.narcissisticabusetraumaclinic.com. Thank you for watching.